Hi guys, just a quick video. It's going to be one of a series, I think, basically to show the difference, or the fundamental differences between a fake and a real watch, and how you can sort of quite easily tell the difference. Now, this guide is a very, very basic guide, and it's based upon what is not a particularly good quality replica, which I've used to really demonstrate some of the differences in a slightly more obvious way. Please be aware there are some very, very, very good replicas and very convincing fakes out there. So if at any point you're in any doubt about this authenticity, then do get it checked out by a dealer, by an horologist, or by like a pawnbroker, or someone who's going to know a bit more. As like I say, this is based on a quite a poor quality fake. Right, what we have here is two Breitling watches. There's a chronometer here, and there's one over here. Now, I don't think really at this stage I need to tell you which one's the fake one. It's obviously the one on the right is the fake, picked up for I think it was about £3. The one on the left is the real one, which is around I think about £3,500. That's a bit of a giveaway to start with there, really. Sometimes if you're not going to buy a real Breitling for £3, so it's it's always a good idea to bear that in mind. No one really gives anything away for nothing. But now this is I'm going to show the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually something that you can't really see in a video, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But what it is the weight. One of the biggest giveaways between real watches and the fake ones. This watch, which as we've already deduced is the fake, is very light, and you might be able to hear it rattling. It sounds cheap. The metal is very thin, and it feels very lightweight in the hand. And like I say, that's normally a good way to tell. Whereas this one, which is the real one, is very heavy. The metal's very substantial, and the weight is much more there. Again, this isn't a guaranteed telltale because like I say, a lot of the better replicas will have a similar weight to the real thing, so it can be harder to tell. And what I'm going to do for now is put the real one aside for a moment, and let's just have a look at the points on this fake one that give it away. Now, the most obvious thing, which is actually something that's caused a few problems with this video, is the glare coming off the glass. Now, the reason the glare is coming off the glass is because it's a mineral crystal glass rather than a sapphire crystal glass. Now, what that is, it's a more basic, a much cheaper kind of glass, sort of an everyday one, like you'd probably find your windows or something like that. To bring the real one back in for a second, this is a sapphire crystal glass, and you can tell just by looking at any angle, it remains completely transparent. There's no glare, nothing like that. This one, obviously there's a lot of glare coming off the glass, and once you get it to a certain angle, the face becomes invisible. First way of telling. A bit of an obvious one with this one is that the chronograph dials, which are obviously here and here, which are used for the stopwatch functions, are completely non-functional. They don't start, they don't stop, they don't do anything. Pretty much they are just stuck on the face. Now, with the exception of, I believe, possibly some Michael Kors watches, and someone may want to correct me on that, I don't know of a brand of genuine designer watch that will use a fake chronograph dial. People may try and sell them to you as being, it's a dress watch, or it's it's a sport design. As far as I'm aware, the big names, Rolex, Omega, Breitling, Tag Heuer, and the big names won't use fake dials in their watches. So that's, as soon as you see a fake dial, walk away. Now, the next thing to look at, I'm trying to keep this in focus because of the cheap glass, you get so much glare, is the dial. Now, on a real Breitling watch, bring it back in, you have the bezel here, which clicks. It's basically, this is designed for divers. It's fundamentally used, I believe, originally to sort of time the amount of air you've got left in your tank when you're diving. Now, this rotates one way and one way only. It's got a very, very solid click, and each click is half a minute. It's very, very exact. This one, again, a fundamental fault with this watch is that the dial does rotate, the bezel, sorry, not the dial, the bezel does rotate, but there's nothing on it. So that would be absolutely no use to anyone. There's no numbers on it, there's no marks to actually use it for any purpose that I can imagine. So that's an immediate giveaway. Why no watch company would make a watch that's fundamentally pointless, or with a fundamentally pointless feature. Also, the click is very lightweight, there's a lot of movement in the bezel, and it clicks once per minute. So that's another way of telling. Other ways, and like I say, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is a very, very bad fake watch. So, you know, just because your bezel clicks correctly, just because the dials all work, doesn't necessarily mean you've got a real watch, but it is something to look out for. Now, the next thing we'll look at is the engraving. Now, on all watches, there's normally something written on the clasp. In this case, again, if I can get the camera to focus, it says Breitling 1881. 1884 indeed. My apologies to the watch aficionados. And on the back there'll also be some markings. Now the reason they're not being picked up very well by the camera, apart from the fact this watch is incredibly shiny, is because they're just basically almost etched on there. Some might even be printed, or you know, but the detail is very, very light. Whereas if you look at the real one, on the bracelet it's engraved, and on the back the writing is very significant. It's very deeply embossed. You know, it's very clear. And also on this one there is a serial number and a model number as well. This one it just says something along the lines of Breitling, waterproof, and all the rest of it. You know, just some generic words really. So that's a good way of telling. What a lot of people talk about when they talk about spotting a fake watch is the movement, and that is that a cheap fake watch will typically have the traditional ticking movement, where it ticks every second on the second hand, and the real watches will have a sweeping movement, like we can see is going on here on this one. Now, one thing to be aware of is that there are very, very, very good watches out there that do have quartz movements, so the ticking movements. A lot of Tag Heuers I'd say about under £2,000 new retail, most of them will have quartz movements. There are also quartz versions of Omega's best-selling Seamaster model, and there's even a couple of Oyster Quartz Rolex models that you should be aware of. So a ticking hand doesn't necessarily mean a fake, and by the same token a sweeping hand doesn't necessarily mean you've got a genuine watch. Again, you know, automatic movements now that come in from China are incredibly cheap to mass produce. And you find that more and more replica or fake watches have got the automatic movements in. One thing worth mentioning this time, while we're talking about movements, is a lot of fakes will try and look more authentic by having a skeleton back, and that is that if you turn the watch face over and look on the back, rather than having this sort of solid metal plate, there'll be effectively a glass window, so you can actually see the inner workings of the watch. Again, there are models that have this, that are genuine, but again, having this skeleton back, as it's known, isn't a guarantee of authenticity. It's worth noting that a lot of models don't have skeleton backs, but the fakers will put a skeleton back on a watch to make it look more high-end, you know, because you can see the movement, and the movement may have, you know, Breitling or Omega or Tag Heuer written on the movement. Please don't take that as any kind of indication that it's a real watch. It isn't. One thing I haven't done in this video is take the back off. Now, the reason for that is I don't have the tools to take the back off, the real one. You know, most real high-end watchmakers won't freely distribute the tools, and they won't make them easy to remove. And the reason being is these are fundamentally divers watches. This one is waterproof to 300 meters, and if the back came off that easily, then it wouldn't probably maintain its water tightness very long. With the fake ones, however, it's probably very easy, if I wanted to at this stage, to just prise the back off with a screwdriver. And if you do that, you can see the movement, and then you'll almost certainly, with a watch like this, see the word China on it, which is a dead giveaway, because the Swiss don't generally get their watches made in China. So anyway, that's an introduction. Like I say, I will be doing a series of these videos. My apologies to any sort of real watch fans, because of what I've just said, the majority of it is going to be very, very obvious. And almost certainly stuff you already know. But my idea really was to point out some of the fundamental basics of determining a fake watch from a real one. Next time we'll have a bit more look in depth at a couple of different models, as well as going over a bit more detail on these. But I hope that was helpful anyway. If it was, obviously like the video and add me, subscribe to my channel, and I'll bring you some more videos soon. Thanks for watching.